Hello everyone and welcome to this pick a card reading video. In this video, we'll be taking a look at what you must release from your life in order to heal, in order to move forward. If you have any stagnancy in your life, then hopefully this can provide clarity for you. I will also provide you with information on how to move forward and what energy should replace the energy that was just released from your life. Here is stack 1A, stack 2B, stack 3C. You can pause if you'd like and if you need some more time to figure out which stack you're most drawn to. If you are not drawn to any of the stacks, that's completely fine. That just means that this might not be the pick a card reading video for you, but I have plenty of other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my YouTube channel. As a reminder, everything I talk about and discuss in this video is for entertainment purposes only and cannot be stated as fact. Alright, let's get into it. Hello 1A and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. Before I get into the cards, I will say my cat Axel is of course right up near the microphone. You might end up hearing him purring and such. He does get up and move quite a bit, so he'll probably move at some point anyway, and just like right now as I say that. So I guess for right now you don't even have to worry about if you hear him up by the mic. Anyway, the tarot cards here are Six of Swords in reverse, Four of Coins or Four of Pentacles upright, the Ace of Staffs or the Ace of Wands in reverse, the Queen of Coins or Queen of Pentacles in reverse, Temperance card in reverse, and the Four of Swords upright. And then the top two cards in the first house and Saturn represent more clarity and insight into your situation. And then the bottom two cards represent the energy you can utilize moving forward to help you after you release certain energies or certain people or things from your life. And those are volunteer and the courageous peony. Multifaceted, unique nature, let yourself be seen. And I will read from the guidebooks for both of these later. I don't think I've done the Starseed Oracle yet for any of the stacks, like incorporated it. So this is the first pile of any pick a card reading that'll be utilized. So congrats, no, but okay. Let's just get into this. So there are many different messages that I'm getting here for things you need to release. It seems like something you need to release is, seriously, just a lot of fear. There's a lot of anxiety. Any fear and anxiety that you have, you need to release, especially as it relates to fear of judgment of other people. A lot of you, I think the main card that represents all of you in this situation is honestly the Four of Pentacles upright, because that indicates to me that you are holding your, in this case, coins, but you hear the expression holding your cards close to your chest. A lot of you are afraid to express who you truly are. And a lot of you, it just seems like a very stagnant in terms of friendships and relationships. I wouldn't be surprised if you don't have many friends, and that's not a read, okay? We all, well, not all, but there's many people who go through areas of life like that, especially if like there's already something major you've released from your life, like maybe you've cut off family and then it just feels like maybe you don't have many people, or maybe something happened in your prior friend group, or else just something in your life and it's made you very distant from people. But you need to release the fear of judgment from other people. You need to release the fear of looking silly. We all do things, we all make mistakes. So that's something you need to release as well. Release the fear of making mistakes. And you need to release the fear of taking risks. There's a lot of stagnancy in this stack, with the Six of Swords in reverse being that first card. It indicates to me that a lot of you are truly very stuck in life right now. And also a lot of you for this stack indicates to me that you lack motivation. So you must release a lack of motivation, and you must release the thought that you can't be motivated by anything. Even if you're motivated by or passionate about things that are atypical or that people would find weird, that doesn't mean that that's bad. So I think there's a lot of conditioning you've taken on. I think you need to release the fear of specifically societal expectations as well. It seems like a lot of you feel like you need to act a certain way, potentially because of your gender or because of your upbringing, because of your religion, because of what your family is known for, your siblings, your parents. But I want to go back to the Six of Swords energy because when is in reverse, that means that we aren't willing to accept change. So there's something in your life that has happened that has halted your progress in this life. And because we have in the first house in Saturn, it just feels really like who you are has been dictated by other people's conditioning. And I think a lot of you struggle to know who you are. So you must release the expectation that you know fully to the full extent who you are. And you must release the idea that you cannot grow as well. You must release the idea that you cannot change. There's it just seems like a lot of you are conditioned to believe certain things about yourself or you think you are a certain way. And I think a lot of you are very unwilling to be vulnerable with yourselves and realize, hey, this is where I've been wrong, or hey, this is where other people, ooh, I want to talk about that actually. Some of you, maybe growing up, you didn't have the ability to be wrong. Maybe you would be like chastised so deeply. You would be ridiculed by family or friends if you ever made a mistake, maybe in childhood. So maybe that's why for some of you, you don't take risks and you decide to just play it safe. You decide to take the easy path, take the easy road, not do anything exciting. It's like, and I talk about this in other readings that I've done as well, where it just feels like you do the same thing day in and day out, but it feels like even then you do the very bare minimum. So for you, I think Spirit has, I don't want to say high expectations of like your life or what you should do, but they think you deserve more for your life, more excitability. So you must release the idea that you should stick to conformity, that you should stick or stay inside your comfort zone. And you must release the idea that, oh, what was I just gonna say? You must release the idea that good things won't happen for you as well. It seems like a lot of you have just given up, is the way that this reading is. So you must release the idea that you should just give up and that your life isn't meant for something better or greater. That doesn't mean it has to be so grandiose. That doesn't mean you have to be like some celebrity billionaire, right? But Spirit wants for you, even if it just means hanging out with friends more or making new connections, even if it means not always just staying inside, maybe going outside and doing things outside every once in a while, going to social gatherings. So it seems like you're just in your little bubble. So you must also, this is a very important thing for you, you must release the idea that sticking or staying inside your bubble and being a lone wolf will keep you safe, because that will just keep you disconnected, not safe. Any negative connections that you've had in the past, if you haven't released them yet, you need to release negative connections in your life, whether that's family, whether that's friends, whether that's a job, okay, whatever it is. If you still have things from an ex, if you still have like just a lot of things from childhood that don't bring back good memories that you don't need anymore, if you can donate them or throw them away. It's like I think a lot of you, without realizing it, are holding on to things from the past because with this Six of Swords in reverse energy, it feels like you're stuck because of something that's happened. It could be something as like, well, I was gonna say as simple as, but maybe, it's probably more complicated than this, but it could be something as matter of fact as maybe you go down a career path and then you realize like, let's say you're going to be a doctor and then you start your residency and you realize, I would absolutely hate to be a doctor of any kind. And you're like, well, what did I go to school for? No, I don't even feel like I want to do anything in the medical career or health space. And so what did I go to all that schooling for? And then it's like you just give up and you're like, I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to I'm going to figure it out. But then you don't really even figure it out. You're just like so disconnected from yourself. You're like, I can't believe I thought that I wanted this and now I don't trust myself. That's the thing too. A lot of you need to release the fear of lack of intuition, or you need to release your inability to trust yourself in general. It seems like there's a distrust of other people as well as yourself, because I think a lot of you too, it's like maybe you have parents that are doctors or you have teachers that are like, you're so great at science, you would be in anatomy class. Like, maybe you should really look into being a doctor. And so you do all these things, but you're like, okay, maybe I was good at certain classes, but that doesn't directly one for one apply to real life, the real world, and these experiences that you would have. And you realize that when you're in this residency program, you're like, I can't believe that I trusted other people, and I also can't believe I trusted myself. And so I think there's something that has happened that has been a big blow to your ego and or your inner child, because those two are like directly linked. But now it is time to take on your inner adult and not let your inner child or ego be wounded forever. Spirit says that just because things don't work out a certain way doesn't mean that we have to give up on life. That doesn't mean that we are like bad people. I feel like there's a lot of embarrassment actually in this stack as well. So you need to release embarrassment of things that you've done in the past, things you've said, any mistakes you've made. I think a lot of you hold on to these judgments from other people and embarrassment. And you're just afraid to step out of your comfort zone because you don't want to be judged, because you don't want to do something that embarrasses you. And so Spirit is saying, okay, wait. Because with this in the first house, some of you too, I have got to say, it's not even just that. How am I trying to phrase this? It's not just about the embarrassment because of other people's reactions. I'm trying to read. How am I supposed to explain this? It's not just the embarrassment of like your actions. Well, for the select few of you too, I will say it could be that you hold embarrassment because of your family. Like growing up, if your family was a certain way, like let's say you had a father who suffered from alcoholism, and so then you hold that shame with you, and so now it's like you never drink, you never are around people who drink, and let's say you've maybe even lost friendships because of that, because it's like you tell your friend, you know that I have an alcoholic father, why would you drink around me? It's like, well, you said I could. Things like that. So be careful about any shame and blame that you hold from your parents or siblings specifically, or any family members, any way in which they've embarrassed like themselves and the family name, I guess you could say. Some of you could deal with issues surrounding that. It feels like a lot of you just aren't very grounded. And it feels like it doesn't feel like you have an erratic energy though, because sometimes when people are not grounded, you can be bouncing off the walls. This just feels like there's a lot of that grayness that I sometimes talk about that I'm seeing, and a lot of fogginess where you're just like kind of a zombie through life right now. The Four of Swords upright also tells me that, and with the Temperance in reverse, it tells me that this is a period of life where you've just been coasting by. There's nothing that you're excited to live for. There's nothing that you feel interests you, but I just think it's because Spirit is saying that's something you need to release. Spirit is saying you need to release the idea that things can't motivate you, or that you can't be passionate about certain things. Maybe, like, let's say, for example, I think Pokemon cards are so cool. I don't even play the game, don't even know how to play the game, any of it, online or in person. I just collected those from a young age because I just thought they were so darn cute. And I still have so many Pokemon cards, and I've even gotten some like this year as I start getting back into that. That's something that maybe as you get older, people could shame you for, right? So something like that, or like sometimes when people watch anime, people are like, oh, that's so childish. It's like, if there's things that you like that make you happy, do not prevent yourself. If there's like somebody that you're dating, or if you have a family member who's like, oh, that is so awful, or like somebody you're dating is like, I can't deal with you watching anime. That's so embarrassing. And then you just hold shame for that. There's a lot of shame that you'll hold. So you need to release shame. You need to release blame. And release the notion that you can't be happy in doing things that other people wouldn't approve of. If it's not hurting people, then you shouldn't be afraid to do these things. And Spirit ultimately just wants you to be happy. It feels like you are not happy. And something that they want you to release is the idea that staying where you are, you'll eventually adapt to being happy, or that good things will still happen for you. Because if you're blocked off from doing anything, it's like when you tell people, like, doing the same thing multiple times isn't going to change the end result or anything like that. It's like, that's how this should apply for you as well. Where Temperance in reverse, just staying stagnant, not doing anything, not taking any action, not taking any risks, that won't allow any fruitfulness to come into your life. That will just spirit will match that energy, and they're like, maybe we won't have so many awful things happen, even though like with life things happen, even if we do the same. That's the thing too. Release the idea that doing the same thing, I already said this, will keep you safe, but specifically that it will prevent anything bad from happening, that it will prevent people from judging us. Guess what? People will always judge you. People will always be unkind to you. But at the end of the day, you need to not be that person for yourself. You need to be somebody who is kind to yourself, who respects and loves yourself, because that's something you need to release as well. Self-hatred. There's a lot of self-hatred. There's a lot of dislike for your, even if you're like, I don't hate myself, it's like, okay, are there so many parts of yourself that you really dislike? And it's like, why is that? Is it because of your physical appearance? Is it because of things you cannot change? Is it because of your personality, even though there's certain parts of your personality that have been judged? But there's nothing wrong with those things. Maybe you're a little bit weird. Maybe you're a little bit esoteric. Maybe you're a little bit hyperactive. And if people say that those things are bad, then is that why you're like, okay, well, I guess I can't do anything because these are parts of myself that I shouldn't like, but I can't control them, so I'll just be in my little bubble. Spirit does not want that for you. Also, I just realized the two cards that are in upright here are both fours. Four of Pentacles and Four of Swords upright. That is so cool. With that, 4 to me is an angel number that relates to protection. Spirit is saying they're protecting you, but you're also overprotective of yourself. And doing that isn't actually going to be helpful for you. It's not going to help you evolve or grow, or like if you're single, it's not going to help you get a partner. You know, if you're looking for work, but you're not showing any motivation in your interviews, or you're not even going to the interviews because you get scared, spirit is like, it's okay to be scared sometimes, but we have to be able to push through. We have to find better ways to cope. That's the thing too. A lot of you have bad ways of coping, such as escapism, and spirit wants you to adapt instead better ways to cope so that you can actually have a more fruitful life, so that things don't hinder all of these life experiences that you could. Oh my god, I feel like crying. I feel like there's so many life experiences. I'm just seeing somebody like traveling around. Like I see somebody literally on a mountain going skiing. That could be relevant for y'all, skiing or snowboarding. But I see you. There's maybe you're scared of the lifts, right? Maybe you're scared of heights. You're scared of falling. It's like you don't have. Spirit isn't saying you have to go to the highest part of the most dangerous like mountain to climb in the world. You don't have to go to Mount Everest. If you want to do something like climb a mountain, go to one that's go start at like with a hill, a small hiking trail, like work your way up, you know? Like it doesn't have to be this big thing where you have to shame yourself if you can't do this big thing right away. Small steps are completely fine. That's something that spirit wants for you to incorporate. I just feel like crying though. Oh my god. Ooh, I'm feeling this so strongly, where it's like spirit doesn't want for you to be so afraid that it prevents you from doing things that would actually make you so happy and so proud of yourself. That's the thing too. You must release the idea that you cannot be proud of yourself. Because it's like, well, yes, I did this thing today and that's cool, but what about this thing I did 3 years ago? That wasn't cool. It's like, don't compare. That's the thing you must release as well. You compare your current life experiences to other people's life experiences, to past life experiences, and what you have such high expectations. I feel like I said something about expectations earlier. Maybe you do have high expectation for yourself, because it's like nothing you ever do is good enough. So you must release the voice in your head that says you are not worthy or that you are not good enough. Spirit is saying there is so much to live for, but you've just been so blocked off. But Spirit is also saying there's still time. We can turn that. I'm hearing like, not want to do it here. Bam, flipped it over. That Six of Swords energy, we can turn that around. We can allow progress and we can allow change. And then it's like I'm hearing Spirit say all of those other cards in reverse will over time flip upside down. With Temperance though, it's like I don't think you gave yourself enough time. It's like, give yourself time to cook. You don't give yourself enough time to change. It's like if you make progress, then you're like, well, I'm not doing enough, quick enough. And then you just berate yourself and then you just give up. It's like you made progress, but you just weren't willing to see it. So you must release the idea that progress is linear. You must release the idea that progress is similar to the lives of other people. Also, some of you, I think, because it seems like you keep things inside, you aren't very good at opening up to yourself, I really recommend journaling, talking to a therapist if you can. It seems like you're very closed off to your emotions, and so it's hard because I think if you ever get close to opening up to yourself, like realizing how you're feeling, then I think a lot of you are just like shut it down. You're like, I can't think about this right now. I don't have the ability to feel this right now. I have to just move on. I'm really seeing spirit being like really like there's not much going on. Like, if you're at work, then that's different. It's like, okay, wait until you get home, right? But if you're at home and you're just like, well, I want to finish this game, I want to finish this movie. It's like, if those feelings are, that's something you must release as well. Like, release the idea that healing can be scheduled. Release the idea that healing should be done within a certain time frame or at a certain time. If you're at home, if you're in a safe space, even if you're with other people, and you need to feel things out, even talking out loud for I think a lot of you would be very helpful so that you can really understand what it is that you're feeling if it's hard when you're just thinking in your head. And it's like doing that will be so beneficial at any point in time. It's like, let's say in the middle of a movie and you're like, oh, this thought came up and it doesn't even relate to anything I'm watching. Or maybe it does. And you're like, whatever, I gotta finish watching that movie. Spirit wants you to release. What am I trying to say? They want for you to release the idea that other things in the in like outside of you externally in your physical realm are more important than your internal realm. I just feel like I need to take a breath, a sigh. Wow, there's a lot of energy here. There's just a lot that needs to be released emotionally. And once those floodgates open, do not shame yourself along the way. Okay? Allow yourself to feel, even if it is very difficult. Spirit is saying it is not meant to be easy, especially because if you've been pushing certain emotions or events from your past aside for so long, it's like the more we push things aside, the harder it can be to fully heal. So Spirit is saying now is the best time. It's better late than never, and that they want for you to also have this be a common practice where you check in with yourself. Where you're like, because Spirit wants you to release the idea that you're done growing at any particular point in time. We can always change and always grow. Society is always changing and growing. So we have to be able to evolve and think, hey, is this part of societal thinking what I agree with or not? And why is that so? And am I just actually being stuck or stagnant? Am I afraid of changing my beliefs? Spirit really wants you to be able to check in with yourself. That will be such an important practice for you all. And to also just be so much they want you to be kinder to yourself and also to embrace, again, release the idea that there's something inherently wrong with you. If there's things you don't like that you want to change, that you can change, especially as it relates honestly to your personality. If you're like, I don't like how I do this, how I'm like late to everything, right? That's fine, but don't shame yourself if you're doing that. Be like, I recognize this and it's something I want to change, and then you actively change those things, right? But parts of your personality, your weirdness, your quirkiness, your things that other people don't understand, but that you still feel like are part of you and that you don't deep down despise. And if you do, it's like, well, why do I despise this part of my personality? Because with Saturn here, it's like, okay, the things that other people don't like are the things that aren't productive you don't like. And Spirit's like, you gotta release the idea that that's true. Any parts of yourself that if you do the work to like evaluate your life and your personality, it's like, oh, well, this weird quirk I do, it's actually not harming anybody and it's something that can actually be kind of funny. But there's other people who say that it's so weird and that like they can't be around me because that's a weird thing that I do. Or they just always point it out. And even if I tell people to stop, they keep doing it, so I must start believing it. Spirit wants you to not, they want for you to release the idea that other people's judgments are correct specifically. There are parts of yourself that you need to learn to embrace and to love and to cherish, even if you are the only one that does. Remember, if at the end of the day you are not harming anybody, and it's something that you actually don't mind, but you just care about other people minding, it's like, don't care about other people in that instance. So therefore, be kinder to yourself. Recognize the parts of yourself that are actually very cool and unique to you. That's an important message too. Some of you maybe think you're just like every other Joe Schmo. Release the idea that you're like any other person. You are very unique and your own individual person. there are so many aspects about you that other people are not like, but if you find the right people and to find the right community, those people will cherish those things within you, and you'll be like it's like it reminds me of Jarvis Johnson. He's talked before about there's physical sometimes there's, like, physical attributes about himself that he actively doesn't like, and then if he meets somebody new or if he's dating somebody and they're like, "Oh, I really like that part of you," and he'll be like and he says, like, his immediate response is, "Why? Why would you like that part of me?" So a lot of you need to work on releasing those negative impulses and reactions you have as it relates to people complimenting you, whether that is your physical appearance or if that's some part of your actual personality. Some of that definitely needs to be released as well. Because now is not a time to keep being stagnant. It's not a time to just wait for something to happen when we're not actually applying ourselves. And I'm looking at Saturn and where it says limits imposed. There's so many limits you put on yourself where you don't even give yourself a chance as well. Spirit wants you to release the idea that you can't give yourself chances to do things that maybe you're not as well educated in, that maybe you don't have experience in. That's why it's okay to learn. That's why it's okay to practice. Right? If you're not a good painter, you want to learn to paint, but you're like, I've always been told I'm awful at painting. What if you're still always bad at painting? What if you also just learn to do it because you enjoy it, right? But if you do really want to get better, even if it's just slightly that you can get better, notice those improvements. Don't be harsh to yourself if you can't get to the point that other people who are like these magnificent painters can get, right? Just do the best that you can, is really what I'm hearing Spirit say. All you can do is do the best that you can. And if you're doing the best that you cannot shame yourself. You cannot blame yourself. You could not be so negative to yourself if you are literally doing all the best that you can. And I really feel like that relates to a lot of you in the past, where it's like maybe you would also try so hard to fit in with people, and it's like you maybe tried fitting in with the wrong crowd because it's like, oh, the popular kids, or you try to get them to like you without realizing there's all these other people behind you who or all around you who would embrace you. But you're like, well, like my brother who's 2 years older than me, he's part of the popular crowd, so I gotta do that. Or just, people, I did this too. It's like that feels safe to do that, be part of the popular crowd. This is just, an example, but I think it relates to a lot of you. I don't even remember what I was saying. There's so many instances in your life that I think your past really is affecting your present. So that's impacting your ability to be present. So Spirit wants you to also release your footing in the past. Release the idea that you should keep thinking about the past and justify your current inaction because of past actions or because of how people have hurt you in the past. Spirit is saying you got to stop with that. This is your life. Other people do not dictate your life. You dictate your life. And do you want to dictate your life in a way that once you pass on, you look back and you're like, I didn't do anything I ever wanted because I was scared because of what other people told me I can and cannot do? When you eventually pass on, me and Spirit both want for you to look back on your life and be like, I'm so glad that I was able to take risks, even when I messed up, even when I wasn't the best. I'm glad did things even if I really wasn't the best, even if I never improved. I did things not only just for money or just for connection with others, but also connection to myself. Did you hear my cat? He's like, "Hurry up, you're still on this stack." I wasn't planning on this, pickacard reading video being very long, but maybe, because of how this one is going, it'll be much longer. I think that's probably a good cue that I should read in the guidebooks, huh, Axel? Okay, volunteer. Sometimes volunteer work is the best method of effecting change related to an issue that you're passionate about, and also of exploring a new potential career and meeting like-minded friends. This card is guiding you to volunteer in a way that is meaningful for you. Remember that when you give, you also receive. You can't outgive the universe. Additional meanings: donate items, help a person in need, volunteer to be on a committee, pray for God to assign you where you're most needed, and the volunteer state or tendency. I think, asking like God, the universe, spirit, your archangels, your higher self, anybody, your past on loved ones, like where If you want to ask for signs, I think they've probably been sending you signs, you've just been ignoring them, right? Or not, because it feels like there's this like closed offness. So once you open yourself up more, spirit will send you signs of where you can go. But I think with volunteer, that's beautiful because a lot of you maybe are like, I really don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know what motivates me. I don't know what I like. I don't know like where to find friends. I'm not saying volunteer work is the best absolute way to find friends, right? But because like people are there to volunteer. Sometimes though, but at least doing something like volunteering could be very helpful and meaningful for you because it will help you to realize what it is that you're passionate about. Maybe you'll realize, ooh, I prefer when I volunteer where I'm not really interacting with people much during my volunteer work versus maybe directly interacting with those in need could be helpful for you. And maybe you prefer volunteering in the ways that are stereotypical, or maybe like the small things like helping your neighbor for 10 minutes to like clear out their garage or do something on their car, it can be the little things. That's something that I talked about earlier. For you all, it's all about the little things. Because I think doing something too big, you're more likely to shame yourself if you mess up or if you don't do things perfectly. A lot of you also need to release perfectionism. Okay. And, ooh, Axel, your nose is cold. That's good. Cold and wet nose. Okay. Ooh, you know what? Good boy, Axel. Maybe they should volunteer at an animal shelter. That would be perfect for a lot of you. You know why? I think a lot of you probably do struggle with talking and interacting with people. Doing something like being at an animal shelter could really connect you with animals, and it will help you realize the things that you're passionate about, whether that's animals or something else. I just think doing something like that, being in a helpful and receiving state, will help you to realize what it is that you actually want for your life, what direction you want to go down. Ah, beautiful. I love it. Let's go to the other one. So we have the courageous peony, multifaceted, unique nature. Let yourself be seen. Flowers don't open and close according to who walks by. They embrace all of what they are and show it to the world around them. The peony doesn't try to compete with the cherry blossom, and the cherry blossom doesn't try to compete with the tulip. They own what they are and trust the timing of their true nature. You're being called to do the same. It's time to open yourself up to being seen. Time to share your incredible, multifaceted, true nature with the world around you. To uncover and reveal your soul's greatest gifts without wavering. To own your uniqueness without apology. That's the thing. If a lot of you are feeling stuck, once you embrace who you are more fully and stop shaming yourself, you release shame from the past as well for yourself, you'll realize more of what you are actually passionate about. It opens up the floodgates for that. There's a flower on this planet that holds the same qualities that your soul is ready itself to express. Let it inform you. You may have been taught that it's safer to keep your... Oh my god, literally what I was saying. You may have been taught that it's safer to keep your light hidden and your voice small, to hide behind the bushes instead of growing tall. The courageous peony is here to remind you that it's safe to embody all of who you truly are. It's safe to share your voice and let yourself be seen. At first it may feel uncomfortable and you may be afraid of what others think. But with each passing day, it does become easier. Little by little, you realize that it draws in those who are meant for you, and experiences you've been longing for arrive at your feet. Starseed Soul Inquiry. How are you being called to allow yourself to be more visible and seen in the world? And it's on page 50, so 5, 0, 5, it, reduces down to 5. 5 is all about enacting change, and also 5 is associated with the 5th house and Leo energy, which means it's time to explore your passions, but it's also a time of not being afraid to stand out. In the 1st house, that's about ascendant energy. So it's a time of exploring your passions unapologetically and unashamedly, about trying new things and not being afraid of being bad or not being in a negative mindset if we're not good at something or if we just don't enjoy something, because then guess what? At least you tried. The courageous peony is saying don't be afraid to try new things, but also at the end of the day, you will know what's best for you and what's true for you. And so don't give up on yourself, really. There's so much more life to be lived. And there's a lot of push from spirit to get you a move in. But I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, Winnie, for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can like the video down below. You can comment down below if you resonate with the stack, and you can update your comments sometime in the future if there are any updates you would like to provide for us all. You can subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. you can check out my other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my YouTube channel. And you can check out my ASMR channel, Brittney's ASMR. That will be linked in the video description down below. Thank you so much again, Wendy, and take care. Hello, Tubi, and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. Here we have King of Swords in reverse, 10 of Cups in reverse, the Hermit in reverse, 6 of Wands in reverse, 8 of Swords in reverse, and the only upright card is the Ace of Coins or the Ace of Pentacles upright. And then for the Oracle cards, the top 2 cards represent the energy that needs to be released. So we have in the 6th house and in Scorpio. And then these final 2 cards I will read in the Oracle card guidebooks later on, but they represent the energy you can start to incorporate into your life as you release these other energies. So the cards are You Are Stronger Than You Know and Earthed, learning how to be human in the world but not of it. And I think those 2 cards really go hand in hand together with each other. So, right off the bat, I want to say something you need to release. Well, first of all, what I want to say is that some of you, I think, will greatly benefit from listening to pile 1. So if you also feel drawn to that pile, then I recommend listening to it. Anyway, something you need to release is family expectations. I feel like a lot of your worth in this life revolves around how your family specifically sees you. And a lot of how this reads is like if your parent wants you to go into a certain career or they want for you to make a lot of money, then that places a lot of expectations on you to make a lot of money or to have a certain career. And it seems like with the 6 of Wands in reverse, it's almost like you're in the shadows of other people in your family. So Spirit wants for you to release the idea that you should just be in the shadows and that you can't shine bright on your own. That's also relevant here with the Hermit in reverse and even the 8 of Swords in reverse. Or I think a lot of you feel like you need to make yourself small to please your family. It also makes me think of when people are queer, but they don't tell their family or they don't bring it up much with their family because their family is like hyper religious and maybe doesn't believe that people should be queer. So then if it's something where you even tell your parent that they're just like, I don't even want to hear you talk about it. Like you can still be around us, but if you ever talk about that, and then just don't. And but I feel like there's a lot of things you do to appease the family system, but it makes yourself small and it makes it so you can't live your true authentic life. 8 of Swords in reverse indicates to me it's like you're almost lying to your family because you're not truly being you when you're around them. And it feels like you don't even tell them how you're actually feeling anyway, but it feels like you just stick around and try to be almost like very bland and you just like say what your parents want you to say and you do what your parents want you to do. Like you go to church even though you hate church maybe. And you're like, yep, still go every Sunday. And if you're ever like, I missed a week. I feel like a lot of you really did grow up in very hyper-religious families and households, but in a very negative way where everything, that's the thing too, a lot of you struggle, I think. There's so much I want to say at once. Something you need to release is forcing yourself to do anything just because it will please the people around you, and that includes family, but that includes really anybody. Don't force yourself into any positions that you don't need to be in and that you don't want to be in, especially if you're an adult, which you should be if you're listening to this, by the way, 18 plus. With you being an adult, you should do what you want to do. So if your parent is like, you should go to be a lawyer, and they're like, I'm only gonna pay for your schooling if you're a lawyer. So then you're like, fine. But then you're like, this is awful, I hate this. King of Swords in reverse is telling me that you're not willing to speak up for yourselves. So something else you need to release is your inability to speak up for yourself. And just, like I said, you need to release your stinginess on being kept small as to please people. It feels like there's a lot of things you've wanted to do with your life already, but you've just put off and that you don't think you'll ever be able to do because it's like, well, I have to focus on family, I guess. For some of you too, it could even include wanting to move away, but your parents are like, they just completely guilt you and shame you into never wanting to ever even try to think about moving away. Because it's like, well, you have to. That means you don't really love us if you're willing to move away from us. What if something bad happens to us? You're not going to be here, and then you're going to regret it. It's just a lot of. Seems like there's a lot of negativity and toxicity within the family system. And so something you must release too is the idea you need to go to like family gatherings because you don't have to. You don't have to force yourself, whether it's just inner family, like close family, or even what is it, like outer family, cousins, external family as well, or extended family. There we go. You don't have to be close to any people just because they're blood related to you. And I think a lot of you hold a lot of guilt and shame because you're like, I don't really get along with certain family members, and I feel like I still need to be around them. Or it's like, I still go to this specific church even though I don't like it. And even though I live far away from it now, but it's like my family, it's something we all do together, and that's like the main way that I connect. It seems like the main way you connect with family is in a way that goes against your beliefs or against your lifestyle. So let's say people have Wednesday night dinners, but let's say you live like an hour and a half out of town, and then when it's busy traffic, it's even longer than that. So stuff like that, where it feels like in the sixth house, it's like you're willing to make things work for other people, but other people aren't necessarily willing to make things work for you. People aren't willing to adapt to you. You have to be the one that is always adapting to other people. And Spirit isn't liking that. So they want for you to release the pressure to conform in that sense. They want for you to release also like, yeah, things that are scheduled as it relates to family. Release scheduled bonding time. Well, that's church or like a dinner. Maybe a certain like getting together every Sunday to watch football. Maybe you don't even like football, you know? It's like, hey, can we do something else? And if not, let's choose a different day. And if it's like, no, I'm busy every other day, it's like, okay, well, this isn't something that I'm happy about, and I've been doing it for a long time. You know, you need to be able to speak up for the things that you don't like. That you don't like about the family system or that you don't like doing. It seems like a lot of people also, this is very common with family systems, but there may be a belief that you don't agree with. But it feels like everybody just like, even if you think some people don't necessarily agree with it, maybe they even say they don't agree with it, but it's just something that's quote unquote part of history, family history, or quote unquote part of tradition. So they just keep doing it. You can be the one that breaks the cycle. Spirit is saying that something you have to release is the idea that you should conform and that you should just do things the same way as your parents did, or that your family history has laid out for you. You don't have to do things the way your family does it. So Spirit really wants you to work on releasing that and identifying those things that are a part of the family system that you just don't resonate with. You're not a bad person for not doing every single thing similar as your parents or your siblings. And for some of you too, I think it is more so about siblings where you don't actually talk with siblings very much. Maybe just actually don't get along. And you could have other people in the family system, other siblings or parents or whoever, and they could be like, you two just, or you three or whoever, you just need to get along and you're a family, so that means you have to love each other. That means you have to that means even if the other person's the one that did something wrong, you didn't do anything wrong, you should just apologize. That's the thing too. You must release the idea that you should apologize for things that you are not sorry for or apologize for things that you did not do. Because I feel like a lot of you are very people pleasing, where you're like, I will help other people. Even that sixth house Virgo energy, it's like, I'll be in the background. A lot of you are faded away, where I think Spirit wants you to shine a lot more. Spirit wants you to release the idea that you should be in the background, that you should be a wallflower, that you should be fading away, that you should let other people shine and have their time to shine. Spirit is saying that you've always had the ability to shine, but you dim it. Because of not thinking you're enough, or because of the conditioning that you should put other people before you. It's like you always release the idea that you should put other people's needs before your own. That's a big thing for you all. Or I think you're very helpful and you serve other people, but you don't serve yourself. Ooh, in the sixth house, it says serving even there. Serving. Snaps. No, but it seems like you really are somebody who does serve other people. But think about the ways in which do you care for yourself? Because something you need to release is the idea that you should care for other people more than you care for yourself. A lot of you really need to work on self-care. You need to work on the belief that some of you need to release the idea that you can't have alone time too. I know that's like a weird sentiment, but some of you I think struggle with alone time. And I think it's because you just always feel like you need to be there for other people, or you don't want other people to feel neglected. But I just see you being so drained all the time. So release the draining energy. Instead, like give yourself more sleep. Do things that are solo activities more. If you feel that you're also codependent with anybody in your life, then Spirit is saying you need to work on releasing codependency and finding strength in your own personhood and finding comfort in being alone. I think some of you really do struggle with being alone. You're probably more likely to. Oh, in the Hermit reverse, yep. Yep. I think you do probably struggle with being alone, even though I think you already feel alone in the groups that you're in, the friend groups, the family groups, the work-related groups, the church groups. Like, it seems like the communities you're a part of, you don't actually resonate with as well. So Spirit wants you to release those groups of people that you need to from your life and the communities in your life. Like, remove yourself. Because it feels like a lot of these people don't resonate with you, and you just feel like you have to do things with these people or you have to see these people, engage with these people, and it's like, why? Oops, Spirit don't not Spirit, Axel, don't walk on the keyboard. But it's for some maybe it's just because 'cause you've been a part of these systems or these groups for so long, you're like, "Well, I can't stop now, I don't have friends outside of this." Spirit is saying you need to release that idea that you cannot make new friends. You cannot find people that are more aligned with you. Spirit is saying there are people out there who resonate a lot more with your own beliefs specifically, but also your interests. Where there's certain things that you're like, well, like let's say you live in Texas and you're like, I don't have anybody around me. I live in a small town in Texas. I don't have anybody around me who loves tarot. Or people would literally want to burn me at the stake if I brought that up. I guarantee if you do enough, I just think a lot of you are also, you need to release fear. I talked about this in stack one as well, but you need to release fear because a lot of you think you'll be persecuted, I think, if you bring certain stuff up. So that's why it's like you don't talk about certain things. People don't even know certain parts of you or what you believe, how you think, what you feel. And so, like your interests, your hobbies, things you want to try. I think there are things you want to try, but you've just already put them aside, like, I'll never have the opportunity to do this, to see this. And I'll also never find people who also resonate with that. It's like, no. You will be able to. You might have to go out of your way to try and find these people. Oh, I can't. But you need to be able to release. Sorry, my cat was scratching at the wall. But you need to release that sentiment that you can't find like-minded people out in the real world, not just online, but I'm talking about literally in this physical realm, like in your community. You'll be able to find people. They might be hard to find. I'm sure if you post it on somewhere, like on Facebook or like on a meetup group, trying to find people or start a group, people will give you the side eye and people might look at you differently. But then you'll still find people who are also too afraid to speak up or to find those like-minded individuals. So a big thing you need to focus on is building community with the right people, not with people that you think you should be around. Or and also don't focus on building connections with people who you think will further your career. That's not what Spirit is saying that you should focus on. Focus on like actual connections with real people. Also, speaking of career, I actually feel that a lot of you need to release your ties to self-worth being that of how much money you make and what type of job you have. I believe I talked about this earlier. Maybe I talked about it in the other stack. I don't remember, but a lot of you, I think, derive your self-worth from material means. And I think a lot of your family and friends look to you and respect you merely because of how much money you make or because of the career that you do. And I feel like without your job that you have, or if you're in college, without this idea of what you want to do for work, I think that you feel people will, and I think this is true. by the way, I think a lot of people will be like this in your life, unfortunately, but you feel that people will be disappointed in you. Like, people have high expectations of you to do everything, but also at the same time make yourself small. It's just so interesting. Like, you have to do everything for people, but you can't brag about it. You can't be the one that shines. So, something that makes you might be also, you might just be told by family and friends that you need to pick up on part-time work as well. You should always, people are involved in hustle culture. I think a lot of you derive your self-worth in your ability to neglect yourself. So spirit wants you to release your self-neglect and the pressure that you put on yourself as well to meet these standards that are so unrealistic. So you also need to release unrealistic standards or way too high achieving standards that do diminish yourself in some way, that aren't truly aligned with you, who you are. Some of you, it's like maybe you like you know what it reminds me of? Like when people go on trips, let's say you don't have enough money to go on this trip that all your friends or your family go on, and they're like, I'm not paying for you, so you have to pay, you have to come. So you're like, okay, and then, for a few months you pick up on part-time work and you're like, I literally don't have a life, I don't get sleep. Scorpio energy is very much like doing things to the maximum capacity, doing things like to to death, you could say. And then let's say you make the money and then you go on the trip and it's like, this wasn't even worth it. All that work just for this like week-long, 5-day-long trip. And then people don't even get along and people gossip, and that's the thing too. I think there's a lot of gossip in your social circles right now. And I feel like that's how it has been for a long time, like since you were a child. So I think you need to find people who aren't gossipy, because that's not cute. And that's also what makes you not willing to express yourself to other people as well, because you're like, well, I don't want people to gossip about me. I don't want people to talk bad about me. But it feels like Scorpio energy is very intense. And with Scorpios too, it can be hard to actually read their emotions. And so with that and the sixth house being here, it makes me just feel that you're somebody who kind of has to be neutral in your expressions with people. So spirit wants you to release the idea that you should remain neutral, like emotionally. They want for you to release the idea that you also can't stand up for yourself, is what I want to say. And with those cards here too, I think a lot of you, your health probably isn't the best right now. That could be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, all of the above. Some of them pick and choose. But I think if you actually sit and think, it's like, how is your health? How is your mental health doing? And that goes back to the self-care I was talking about, where a lot of you have been neglecting your self-care needs. You haven't realized the hit that your health has taken. Maybe you've never truly been a healthy person. Like you've never actually considered health. Ooh, you know what I was thinking of too? Some of you need to release the fear of judgment of like certain diets that you want to do. I'm not saying like don't go on fad diets, but I'm saying, for example, I'm vegan. Let's say you want to try veganism out. As long as you're not being mean to other people about it, I see that, for some of you maybe being a good idea trying that out. And maybe you'll realize your physical health is better. But then a lot of you would be like, let's say you bring that up with family and you're like, I can't go to the family barbecue because I'm vegan now and I can eat beforehand, but or I can eat after, I can bring my own food, but I can't eat the food you make. And then family would be like, oh, so you actually like legitimately hate us. You think we're bottom of the barrel because we eat meat, And it's like, no, that's not what I was saying at all, but I'm just saying that I can't eat. It's like, well, we don't want you to come at all then. So there really is a lot of conformity tied to this stack where you feel the need to be a certain way. It just all stems back to that. Feeling the need to be a certain way and to conform. The biggest thing you need to release is conformity. And just fitting in with feeling the need, you need to release the idea that you should fit in with other people. Because I think in many ways you already do, but in the ways that you don't, then people are just very judgmental about that. And so it's like, maybe you do things in secret. That's the thing too. Scorpio is very secretive. So I think for some of you, there's things that you do in secret, and there's literally I don't see anybody in your life that you can tell any of this to. That can even include creative hobbies or things that you're even good at that you do like on the side, and you don't even have to make money doing these things, but things that you're good at or that you like doing on the side, and you don't tell anybody because you're like, people will judge me. You know what reminds me of too? Like pole dancing. It's like, well, if I tell my mother and father and my siblings, they will absolutely hate me. They'll think I am evil. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm weird for doing that. And I'm like a bad person. You're not a bad person for doing that, by the way. That would be so cool to learn how to do all that stuff. But just from my own personal thoughts, doing things in secret with this Six of Wands reverse, Spirit is saying that yeah, there's not people who you feel safe around. So finding a community of people who you feel safe with. I see you being able to join a lot of small communities too. So like your pole dancing community, you can take classes or like do it at home, buy a pole, like watch videos at home. So then for some of you, it's like you maybe struggle in that kind of situation, bringing people to your home. I think a lot of you struggle with having romantic partners meet your family as well and your friends because I think they're so highly judgmental and then they scare off potential suitors. Oh my god, that absolutely sucks. So you should release the idea that you need the approval of people in your life for any decision you make or anybody you want to date, any of that, because ultimately at the end of the day, you should trust in your decision for the things you want to do. And there is a sense that spirit wants you to try things that you've been scared to try because of fear of judgment from other people. There's a sense that things that you are doing or that you want to do that could be in secret or are in secret, those things you should find people who are like-minded, who will also enjoy doing those things with you. Um, because spirit doesn't want for you to hide all these talents that you have or these hobbies and interests that you have. They don't want you to keep everything to yourself. It's good to do things for yourself because I did talk about self-care. But there's a sense that you also need to remove yourself from certain groups of people, plop yourself in with these other groups of people who are a lot more like-minded with you, who are a lot more kind, and who are there's just a sense that you need to be more open. I think a lot of you are open-minded, but you just don't express that with people. So spirit wants you to be more open-minded. Ace of Pentacles too. I love how this is the last card here, because sometimes with the beginning card versus the last card, if we look, King of Swords in reverse versus the Ace of Pentacles upright, this indicates that like where we are at now is in a place of not fully expressing ourselves. We're in a place of conforming to other people, but then with this Ace of Pentacles, and with this being the only upright card too, could give me chills. Spirit is saying you have opportunities that await you to try new things. Trying new things, and I think doing the things that you've been scared to do or that you feel like people judge you for, Spirit is saying doing these things will quite literally change your life, and it will do so for the better. You'll find that, like, oh, I'm not, like, so introverted, but, like, maybe I'm so introverted, but I still have socialization qualities in me. I still like to be around people. Or, like I'm actually very extroverted. It's just that I was, introverted, quote unquote, in these other groups of people or around them, these other groups of people, because of how they made me feel or how they spoke about other people and even me or themselves. So there's a sense that there are opportunities to try new things and to do there's really a sense of like fun, almost youthfulness energy with this. There's things that you've always wanted to do that spirit is wanting you to do, and doing these, or maybe you're doing them just in secret. Doing these things, especially not only like there's a balance between doing these things, but like by yourself as well as with other people. And I think that doing this will help you realize the things that you do truly enjoy versus the things that other people want for you to enjoy. So it will help you to distinguish between those two things. And oh, yeah, so what you must release is the idea that you should be alone, or the idea that I already talked about this, but you can't make new friends, you can't join new communities. For some of you too, I think you will have better health routines. So if you don't exercise right now, or if you don't take good care of your diet, you don't get good sleep, those things I see being that you should start focusing on more and taking care of. And for some of you, like when it comes to food, for example, people can get scared with changing up what they eat because it's like, or eating healthier because people find security and comfort in food, but Spirit is saying we can't only find security and comfort in these things. Eight of Swords in reverse is also saying that you must release the idea that you are a victim of your circumstances, because Spirit is saying you have more of an ability to like be healthier than you realize. It will be hard, but Spirit wants you to not fall back on bad habits. And they also want for you to release excuses. Because I think some people make excuses for you, but some of you also kind of make excuses for yourself because of your environment. It's like, well, everybody in my family eats bad, so why would I eat healthy? I'm not saying you have to do this, right? But we do have in the 6th house here, and we have like cards here that indicate and point to health, and that includes physical health. So for some of you, if you have been feeling really crappy and groggy and you're like, I wish I could eat healthier, and you want to do that, but then you keep making excuses for yourself or you quit after a week, Spirit is saying you need to find better ways to hold yourself accountable, okay, in a way that isn't shaming for yourself. Also, for some of you, it would probably be better if you're going through like a health journey to not really tell other people, again, only like not family, only tell people who are maybe in a similar environment or similar space as you. Like, there's many groups on Reddit and Facebook to join. But be careful about trusting the people who are in your inner circle right now as it stands, as you're listening to this, watching this. Anyway, so this health journey might be more solo, especially as you start. For some of you, if you're going on any sort of health journey, and that can include mental health, like if you're journaling, or if you're getting more into pulling oracle cards or tarot cards for yourself, you're getting more into tarot in general. Maybe this is one of the first ever pick a card reading videos you've watched. I don't know. But whatever is best for your health and it's not hurtful to others, you should go for it. Make sure to not go down any paths of self-hate when people are like, oh yeah, only eat one meal a day and fast all the time. It's like, that is actually very not healthy. Don't do things like that. So I think now is a good time for you to distinguish between what's good and what's bad, because I think a lot of what you think is good and bad has been told to you by or dictated by your upbringing, right? Like growing up for me, my dad would always say how he's such a meat eater. He doesn't understand how people could be vegan, and like he like basically talks about how he hates vegetables even though he doesn't. He eats vegetables, but he just like he loves meat. He can never go a day without eating meat. And he like shoves that kind of conditioning down the throat. So when I turned vegan, he was like, "Why?" Right? So don't have other people's ideas hinder your wanting to do something. If it's something that you don't know if it'll work for you or not, but if it's not something that's super with Scorpio, you have to be careful. I think a lot of you already do this with your self-care. Make sure it's not super restrictive. So that's also just in general, I think, stuff you need to release from your life right now. Release anything that's restrictive. That includes people, that includes habits. Anything that keeps you small, or anything that shames you, that just restricts you in any way from access to resources. And by the way, stuff like if you're eating healthier, that doesn't mean you can never have like ice cream, right? It's all about moderation. That's the thing too. I think I kind of already talked about this. This stack, I feel like, goes into extremes. Spirit is saying you need to release extremes. You should be more moderate to your approach in life right now, and you should try to balance things out. Things don't need to be very super black and white, okay? There can be nuance. You don't have to be like being healthy. There's so many ways to be healthy, and also do what's best for you. Release the idea that what other people are doing is what's best for you. You can take inspiration and ideas, do your own research for things, but ultimately do what's best for you. That isn't just for health, that's for anything in life. Type of career you want to do, a hobby you want to do, like do what's best for you. However much time, like some people say exercise an hour a day for 5 days a week. Some people say exercise 6 days a week for like 2 hours. I don't know. Like if you're trying to lose weight, make sure you have good ideas in mind as well. Some of you, I think, could run the risk of running into sketchy situations if you don't like allow yourself grace. Again, just with the extremes, I think you could get into some sticky situations. Spirit doesn't want for you to go into extremes. Any progress you would like to make, Go at a more moderate pace. The Chariot is not here, but Spirit with the Ace of Pentacles is saying there's new opportunities that await you, but that doesn't mean do everything all at once. Or do the most all at once. Don't be restrictive and don't be unkind to yourself during whatever this process is that you need to go on. There's a lot that I see you gaining. It's weird because this is a stack about, and that's the balance of it all too. This pick a card reading is about what you must release, but I really do see you equally balancing out what you release with what you gain, and then some. At first, it'll be more balanced out, but then it will be even more that you'll gain. Okay, let's go to the guidebook. And is this the last card? And here it is. You are stronger than you know. Challenging situations show you your inner strength, especially when you seem to have no choice but to handle the matter directly. This card is encouraging you to keep going and to call upon the deep well of strength that God has given you. It is within you now, and you can draw it upward to serve you, like a tree drinking water through its roots. While you may feel like giving up, that's what I was talking about. Don't give up. Maybe that'll stack one, but it's like don't give up on things, okay? See it through. Don't just give up because you're not the best at something or because it's hard. While you may feel like giving up, this is a time to persevere. It's a self-test so that you can gauge how much strength you truly have. After the situation is resolved, you'll feel safer and more confident because you'll know that you can rely upon yourself. Additional meanings: strength training at the gym, asserting yourself, not backing down, fighting peacefully for your health and wellness, and championing a cause. So that's the thing too. A lot of this really feels like it's related to health as well. So release excuses and do things also where I think a lot of people focus on cardio. Like when I first started exercising, I did Chloe Ting stuff, and I'm like, why am I not gaining muscle? So for some of you, you should focus more on the strength more than like the slimness, okay? Yeah, championing a cause. Okay, let's go to the other guidebook now. And we have Earth. Learning how to be human, in the world but not of it. The challenge for all souls having a human experience is to be in the world but not of it. To realize they are souls having a human experience and to be fully conscious of it. To have their soul fully embody their body. Some of you too, I think, for like advertisements might feel very, like I think a lot of you are easily influenced by your surroundings, by social media, by friends, family. Maybe some of you already know that, maybe some of you don't. Think of the ways in which you're easily influenced and try not to be influenced in those ways. Make decisions for yourself. People's personalities tend to relate to either transcendence or immanence. Those who lean toward transcendence have a longing for the heavens and the metaphysical. They yearn for a personal experience with God and to be lost in the heavens. They're envious of the angels and are more comfortable praying and hanging out in the stars than on earth. Those who tend toward immanence have attached themselves more to earth and their body. They spend more time thinking about things in this physical world rather than connecting with the heavens or their own mystical inner worlds. For me, I feel like probably you go back and forth between both of those more kind of quote-unquote extremes. Being a fully embodied soul having a human experience means finding the balance, yes, between transcendence and immanence, being in the world but not of it. Most starseeds are drawn toward transcendence. They're more comfortable with the angels and the heavens. Life on earth can be more difficult for them. If this is you, you're being reminded that you chose to be a soul in a body on earth, and you're being called to focus more of your energies in the physical world, to learn how to be human, a soul in a human body, fully present to what life on earth has to offer you. That's the thing. I think a lot of you don't feel present in your decisions. You just feel like you make decisions because you have to. You don't really feel passionate or motivated by your decisions. Starseed soul inquiry. Do you tend to long for the stars or be more in the physical? How can you find greater balance between the two? Okay. There's nothing else I have to add, I believe, so I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, 2B, for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can like the video down below. You can comment down below if you resonate with this stack, and you can update your comments sometime in the future if there are any updates you would like to provide for us all. You can subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. You can check out my other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my YouTube channel. And you can check out my ASMR channel, Brittney's ASMR. That will be linked in the video description down below. Thank you so much again, 2B, and take care. Hello, 3C, and welcome to your part of the pick a card reading video. The cards pulled here are the Lovers in reverse, the Nine of Coins or the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, the Page of Coins or Pentacles upright, the Page of Swords upright, the Death card reversed, and the Four of Cups reversed. So 2 reversed, and then 2 upright, and then 2 in reversed. And then for the Oracle cards, these first 2 cards represent the energy that represents this energy that needs to be released now. So we have in Aries and in Aquarius. And then these final 2 cards, I will read from the guidebooks later as well. But they represent the energy you can take on instead to replace the energy that is released, or anything in general that is released. So we have finances and surrender to the sweetness, Venus energy, pleasure, joy, make love to life. So there's different messages coming through here, but I think a lot of you need to release unrealistic expectations, and more specifically, unrealistic manifestations. If you chose this stack, you're more likely than not somebody who tries to manifest, but Spirit is saying that it's hard to manifest certain things that you want to have happen because they are unrealistic. Like, let's say you want to be a YouTuber, and you're like, I'm going to start being a YouTuber today, or maybe I started recently, and it's like, within a year, I want 5 million subscribers. It's like, that's unrealistic. And also, when we always set high manifestations and high expectations like that, we actually can hinder our own progress because it's showing Spirit that, like, we can only have the most. We can only be the best. We can't accept being good at a level that's lower than other people. And so I think a lot of you too, you do, and this talks also with, when I pulled the Surrender to the Sweetness card, it makes me think that now, as it is, a lot of you struggle with practicing gratitude and for being grateful for all that you already have. So you must also release not only high expectations and unrealistic expectations, but you must also release the inability to practice gratitude and gratefulness, thankfulness for all that you already have and all that is already making its way to you. With Page of Pentacles and the Page of Swords, Spirit is saying that you should do things step by step. I actually talk about this in stack 2 and maybe even stack 3 as well. But instead of going balls to the wall, trying to manifest all these things, I think doing that too, Spirit is saying you must release manifestations that don't serve your highest good. And that includes with the Lovers in reverse and the Nine of Pentacles in reverse. So if you're trying to manifest a specific person into your life, Spirit is saying you shouldn't do that. They're saying, like, you can manifest love in general in a happy and fruitful love life, but if you're trying to manifest a very specific person who already has, like, for example, not even shown interest in you, they said they only see you as a friend, doing stuff like that is bad karma. And with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, let's say you manifest specifically winning the lottery, and you keep asking Spirit to give you the numbers, and that's not how it works. Spirit's like, we cannot give you the numbers. Like, that's why it's like, when it comes to gambling, you should never use Spirit. You can try to, I guess, my stance is that you can try to use your intuition, like, just whatever you feel drawn to doing, but don't specifically call upon Spirit to provide you with the numbers. And don't get mad at Spirit where you don't become a billionaire, right? So and maybe a lot of you are trying to manifest, like, becoming a billionaire, right? But then it's like, how is that realistic? Because even most of the times, even if it's related to a lottery, you don't usually make that much. So Spirit is saying with the Page of Pentacles and the Page of Swords, do things on a much smaller scale. Release the need to do too much at once. And, like, release expectations that are so high for Spirit. And so they want for you to do things that are more attainable. And you can manifest in that way. So if it relates to the Lovers in reverse, you can manifest, like, within the next year, I manifest starting to date somebody. And you can be like, I want them to have, like, these certain qualities. More specifically, it should relate to their personality more than their physical appearance, but if you really want to, you can think about physical appearance. But that's the thing too. A lot of you, I think, struggle with being vain. So Spirit wants you to release vanity. Release the need to attain material goods and attain things or obtain things that are not actually useful in your life. Um, let's say, it's like, because then Spirit was like, well, if we give you all this money, you're probably going to spend it on this thing, on like a big fancy sports car. And it's like, is that actually like truthfully what you need? Because Spirit wants you to be more practical. You could come into money. Spirit's like, you could, but we fear that you would not be wise with your money. And by the way, like, I'm not somebody who personally likes luxury goods or like high-end fashion, all of that. I feel like personally for me, it would be a waste of money because it's like I'd rather save my money and like if I have excess money to donate it, like I think that's how Spirit is wanting to look at it too. Not it doesn't have to be specifically in that way, but Spirit wants for you to think about how you can help to impact other people's lives, not just your own. And so, sorry if you heard that. I knocked my hand into the closet sliding door, but Spirit wants you to think about the ways in which you are kind of selfish in your thinking because with this energy, it's like it's okay to be selfish to an extent, right? But when you only are motivated by self-interest, that's where Spirit is like, there's more karma that could come your way. There's like, it's very karmically tied. I think this stack is the most karmically tied because you're working with manifestations and you're working with things that are like beyond your abilities or your access to resources right now as it stands. So Spirit is saying like if you keep doing the wrong moves, if you're doing things for the wrong reasons, karma will come into play and you won't even be happy with your outcome. Or let's say you do come into a bunch of money or you do manifest a certain somebody into your life, then Spirit is saying with the death in reverse, it makes me think this isn't going to be something you'll actually have wanted. This is, and Spirit is saying too, this isn't the manifestations you have in mind will not progress you forward in the way you think they will. It's like when people say, oh yeah, like I have a lot of money, I became rich and famous, but I'm not happy. I'm the least happy I've ever been. Right? Like the Kurt Cobain effect. And it's like, with the death card in reverse, I think too, a lot of you need to release like parts of your ego. Almost with the death card, it's like you kind of need to go through an ego death a little bit. Not like fully, but a lot of you are motivated by things that are not, Spirit doesn't think it's true to you, or that it's helpful, or that it's just good or positive. It feels like there's a lot of negativity, like a lot of maybe desperation also tied in with this. Where a lot of you feel like, oh, this needs to happen or else my life is worth nothing. I talked about this in stack 2 as well. But I think I talked about with them 2 extremes, but I think for you it's like the extreme. It's like you need to be the best. You need to have the most. And if not, then you feel like life is not worth living. But I think that's very much projection for how you feel about your life up to this point. Do you really feel like your life as it stands right now is not worth living? Is there anything that you have the power to change that you would like to change about your circumstances as they are now? Don't just be like, oh, I'm going to wait until I have all this money to like enact change. There are things you can do, Spirit is saying, at this moment that don't require money or don't require a lot of money that you can do that are helpful for you, that are conductive for you, and that also can help propel you toward your dreams. Like for some of you, maybe you need to, if you want more money to afford a certain thing or certain things, Spirit is saying maybe you need to pick up more shifts, maybe just for a little bit or for a while, even pick up part-time work. If this is something you really want, and it shows that you actually really want this thing, you can do that, and then you'll have more money. So think about things like that. It's like, you need to release the idea that you can do things the easy way. Spirit is like, you can't just manifest and things will come to you. You need to be able to work hard. So that's why for some of you, it's like having these ideas and you're just like, they're unrealistic, a lot of them. And it's like, they don't really require effort on your part. And some people in their astrological charts, it's like, they're very naturally lucky. Or just because of karma, like maybe they need the good karma now. And so there's some people, that's the way they get the karma. But Spirit is saying, with these final 2 cards, finances and surrender to the sweetness, the more you what you need to release is, like, I was going to say you just need to release, but you just need to release I think your manifestations in general, especially the ones that are unrealistic, but I think some of you really put too much time and effort into these manifestations happening. And Spirit is like, you're putting way too much effort into this, and it's not even worth it. You're being like, any desperation or insecurity that you have tied to your manifestation, Spirit is like, okay, you're obviously not ready for this. We're going to push it back, or we're just not going to have it happen. Spirit is saying when you come from a place of acceptance and of actually fully being in that releasing state, but also the receiving state, that you'll be able to receive abundance or this manifestation. More will come to you when you're less in that desperate state, when you're less in a state of feeling like so much of these things needs to happen. Spirit wants for you to be grateful for the things that you have and the things that are coming your way in smaller steps. Like if you are walking down the street and you see a $20 bill, that's a great moment for you to be like, thank you, Spirit. I love this. And I think Spirit actually sends you a lot of signs, honestly. I wouldn't be surprised if they do send you a lot of butterflies or feathers, or like my mom sees dimes all the time, and that's a sign from her brother, my uncle. With the Death card in reverse too, I think Spirit is trying to send you signs. Four of Cups in reverse is that you aren't being perceptive to or aware of the signs that Spirit is sending you. You're completely just like closed off to the signs because you're like, the only way I'll know that these things will happen and that they're true is if it actually happens. Or you notice the signs and you're like, okay, well, that's not enough for me. I need to actually see the results, Spirit. I need to see, it's like you're like, I need to see that I'm actually going to be this rich, famous person. And Spirit is really saying you need to practice gratitude for the things like that $20 bill. Somebody in front of you getting you your coffee order at your local coffee shop. Spirit is saying that when you're more in that receiving state, your manifestation is more likely to happen for you. Being in a state of worry and of, because honestly, of fear as well. I talk about fear in different ways for all of the stacks, but for you, it's like the fear that you won't have enough. And I feel you. I come from an upbringing of like low to lower middle class, where when if a lot of you maybe come from circumstances where you didn't have much. So you're like, I don't want to be like how it was in my childhood. I don't want to be like my parents who didn't have much. And I completely understand that, but then you need to recognize that and be like, how can I tone back a bit so that I'm not like being overbearing in this? In Aries, I think a lot of you come up with a lot of ideas as well, but they could be very fleeting. If you're like, oh, I want to live here, oh, I want to move there by the end of this year, and then a month passes, and you're like, oh, I actually want to move here, and then you're like, oh, I actually want to move here, and then you're like, oh, I actually want to move here, and then you're like. So Spirit is saying that you also need to release your impulses, or release. We can't necessarily control our impulses, but release the need to always act upon your impulses. Spirit is saying that you can have, and also part of intuition is literally, and I relate to this strongly when I'm about to say, part of intuition is acting upon, and creative inspiration is, wait, what am I trying to say? Part of creative inspiration or intelligent ideas for what to do next like they are intuitive, they come from like impulsivity, or they happen suddenly. These ideas, these thoughts, these sparks of inspiration, they'll come suddenly, which is very Aries coded. And sometimes we need to act upon them. But I think for you, you think every impulse is your intuition, and that's not the case. And if it is your intuition, that doesn't mean you have to do everything at this very second. It just means, hey, write it down. Some of you, it's like you have a lot of ideas, write it down. And maybe a day later, or a couple days later, or a week later, go back to that list and be like, is everything on this list still something that resonates with me? Or is it something that needs to be released? Or is it something that I need to put lower on the list because it's not something I feel like I need to do right away? Right? Is it something that's realistic? Thinking about that, doing that exercise specifically, I really, really highly encourage you to consider doing something like that, like I just described. I think that would be very helpful for you. And so remember, impulsivity does not always equate to intuition. So what we need to release is the idea that your impulsivity is related to your intuition directly. It not always is. Also, like, just distinguishing between your wants and needs versus what intuitively you were being told. Because those aren't always the same things. We can want all these things in the world, but is it what we need? And then we can need these things, but is it what we're going to get at this very point in time or in this way? Right. And then in Aquarius too, as soon as I pulled that, it made me think that this is like as a collective how a lot of people are, and I think it's just how a lot of people have been taught to believe like manifestations should work. Where it's like, some people are like set and forget it. Some people are like keep doing these things. Some people are like do these things that hinder on the not I guess the rights, but hinder on the say of other people. Like there's people who do weird stuff for love magic, and it's like Spirit is saying you don't want to be involved in what the collective is doing for some of that. Like it's not good, not cute. A lot of you could be very easily influenced by people like me, tarot readers, right? Don't just listen to everything I say. Like, I'm not saying take everything with a grain of salt, but I mean, just take what resonates. And if there's things that maybe make you uncomfortable, it's like, think about, well, is it just because I'm not ready to face these things? Or is it like, I don't know. Or is it some parts don't resonate, maybe, because this is a group reading after all. And with in Aquarius too, I think a lot of you are unafraid to take risks. And Aquarius really, it makes me think of the mad scientist of the Albert Einstein, who is himself an Aquarius sun, where you're not afraid to think outside the box, and you're not afraid, the Aquarius ties in with the fact that you're not afraid to think these really large ideas, which aren't inherently bad in theory, but when we make our life's mission these ideas that are so unrealistic or that are bad for us and our mental well-being, that's where it can be a problem. And so Spirit is saying, and I think too, I just won't be surprised if, in general, the people around you kind of think you're a little bit cuckoo bananas. And I think a lot of you actually, something I will say is a lot of you maybe kind of wear that as a badge of honor, but make sure you don't hide behind that. Like, oh yeah, I can think these crazy outlandish things just because people already know I'm kind of on the wild side, on the crazy, not like mentally unwell, but like I'm on the think outside the box kind, the esoteric kind of people. And Spirit's like, it's okay to have these things that are you think outside the box, or doing things, thinking things that people around you think are a little bit weird or that they wouldn't do. But again, there's a difference where I think you take it too much to the extreme, where it's absolutely all or nothing. And I think these cards up top here, these oracle cards also relate to the fact that you just put so much time and energy into wanting this thing to happen. It's like I'm hearing, Gretchen, don't make fetch happen. It's never going to happen. So Spirit really is saying the more you keep pushing this, the less likely it is to happen. More favorable outcomes with the results here are likely to happen for you if you become more realistic and you decipher between what is true and untrue, because I know from personal experience it can be hard when you're doing something like manifesting or even doing pick a card readings like on YouTube or for yourself, where it's like you just want to believe things so bad. And I think some of you have gotten messaging too where it's like, this isn't necessarily a right thing you should do, but you're like, well, I want to do it anyway. And that's what these oracle cards are saying too, where it's like a lot of you are like, I don't care the messaging I've been getting, I'm just gonna do this anyway. And Spirit, you have to work alongside me. I feel like I just hear your spirit guides, at least one of them be like, oh, give me a break. Like, not in a way where they are mad, but it's like, oh, God, I've been trying to tell them. It's like they're gonna go in circles. They're not listening to me. They gotta start listening to me. It's the way this comes across. So, think about lists are important for you right now. Think about actionable steps that you can take right now, or that you can take over time, instead of these big grandiose gestures that are less likely to pay off. It's showing here that the small steps will lead to bigger rewards. But you can't think of it as getting things right away. With death in reverse, Spirit still wants me to highlight the fact that, ooh, yeah, so maybe I should talk more about that. I think a lot of you aren't necessarily on Well, I wanna say not on the wrong path, but yeah, just manifesting the wrong things and or in the wrong way. And Spirit is saying there's already changes that you could have already made in your life that you've refused to make. I think a lot of you very much protect yourself in that way, where you are unwilling to take the advice that Spirit has given you if it's something that's on a smaller scale. Spirit is saying if you would have taken our advice a long time ago, well, you would have been a lot further along, and maybe the things you're trying to manifest, you would have been a lot closer to them, or they maybe even would have happened. Who knows? Four of Cups in reverse indicates to me that a lot of you also maybe struggle with meditations. So Spirit is saying that right now, instead of acting from a place of impulsivity, even though it's something that you would struggle with, really try to meditate. Really try to sit still. I think a lot of you are very fidgety. Try to sit still, feel what comes to mind. If there's anything you want to write down, you can. You don't have to write down every single thing, by the way. Don't make this like a homework thing where you're like, I have to do this, this, and this. Just be like, whatever comes to mind, whatever I feel like writing down, whatever I'm being told to write down, I'll write down. And if not, and if I forget, then that means it wasn't meant for me to remember. But hopefully it will still help you subconsciously. Doing automatic writing exercises, I think, could be very helpful for you as well. And yeah, if you have tarot cards yourself, don't pull tarot cards too much. Spirit's saying you're doing too much of that. Release the need to pull cards too much, to watch too many pick a card reading videos. Release the need for validation. A lot of you are seeking validation from external circumstances that you're on the right path. And trust me, I'm somebody who falls into this so often where it's like I always seek validation from Spirit. Spirit wants for you, they're telling you to do things that feel right. And if you're trusting Spirit, you're not actually fully trusting them if you keep questioning them. So they want for you to release the need to keep questioning. And I'm not talking about like questioning if things feel wrong, but if like if you feel like you're doing what Spirit's telling you and you're doing what you feel you yourself need to do, you should not keep asking questions. Because that means you don't trust in the choices that you're making. As well as you don't trust the guidance that Spirit is giving you. So it really is a double-edged sword right now, where it's like you're going against what you truly want to need, as well as what Spirit truly wants and needs for yourself and your higher self, past on loved ones, all of them. I feel like you really have a strong team of, like, strong Spirit team, and they really are trying their best to help guide you, but things are just not. Also, some of you, again, with what you're trying to manifest, specifically with that Nine of Pentacles in reverse, Spirit saying that if you end up getting this, you'll realize that you don't enjoy this thing that you manifested, or that it was all not worth it. So it's really a time of picking what still resonates with you, releasing what doesn't, in terms of it could be a manifestation or it could be certain aspects of your manifestation. But I think a lot of you too, we need to release is so many things to manifest at once. Try to focus and hone in on certain things that you feel like would be best for your life, and other things maybe will happen as well, just naturally. Try not to manifest way too much at once, or else Spirit doesn't know where to direct the energy. Okay? And I think there's one other thing I have to say before I go into the guidebooks. What was I gonna say? Oh, if Spirit wants you to release the pressure on the outcome, and instead they want for you to enjoy the journey. With those page coins, those are all about new beginnings of some kinds. So Spirit wants you to enjoy the journey that you are on, to take actionable steps, to make lists, to plan things out, to be happy with doing those things as well. Because some of you, it's like you're not even happy. You're just like, I feel like I need to do this. They want for you to be happy and at peace with the decisions you make for what you're trying to manifest. If anything doesn't feel right, Spirit does not want for you to do those things. If anything feels like if you look at something online for a specific spell to do, a lot of you should personalize spells to yourself. incantations, invocations. You should personalize those things for yourself. If things don't feel right from what you're getting online, if you would like to personalize, do not be afraid to do that. Spirit is saying, don't only do what you see other people who are like these spiritual people online. Don't just do what they are telling you to do. Do what feels best and what feels right for you. Do your own rituals, as long as they aren't impeding on other people. And that doesn't mean do them all the time. Just do them over time. Like on a full moon or a new moon. Working with the moon could be helpful for you as well. Because then, but even then, I feel like for you all, I do want to say, you can write lists and stuff, but I was talking about scheduling. I actually honestly feel like scheduling things out might be something that makes you really anxious. So just whenever, even if it's not, so actually, let's say the opposite of what I was saying. If it's a full moon or a new moon, and you're like, I gotta manifest today. This is when the people online, the witches, this is what they say I have to do. Do not listen to that. If it does not feel right, do not do it. Do not do something just because other people are saying it's something you should do or it's the best time to do something. Do, even if it's some random day, even if it's during a retrograde, if you're like, this feels like it's right for me to do, like to try to manifest or to have this job interview, whatever it is. If something feels right, even if it doesn't align with what other people are saying is the quote-unquote best spiritual way or the quote-unquote best spiritual time or day to do something, don't listen to that. Do what feels best for you. I think you're very intuitive, but you've kind of closed off to your intuition in that way. You're like, I'm doing all these spiritual things. There's a difference between doing spiritual things and listening to your intuition. So Spirit really wants you to consider that before you manifest, before you take large leaps of faith. You can still schedule and plan things out, but then also if things don't make sense for you to do, if you're not feeling up for something, you can always have the ability and the power to be like, well, even though it's on the calendar for today, I'm not going to do it. Like, even though it's a full moon today, even though it's a new moon today, I'm not going to do it. I'll do it whenever I feel like, or maybe you're just like so busy and it's like you are like, no, I have to do it today, I can't. It's like life happens. You need to release the idea that you can control everything as well. Okay, you need to instead incorporate the idea that life happens, that things won't always happen in the way we would like them to, but hopefully we can adapt. You need to also release rigidity, you need to adapt and change. As you change, your manifestations will also change as well. Even if it's like you're making progress and you're like, I feel like there's something about this I should change. Don't be afraid to make changes. That doesn't mean things can't happen. Things might be different the way they happen, but that's okay. Because as you change, your manifestations will change. What you picture your life to be like in the future, your future life will change. That's why Spirit is also saying don't focus too much on your future, because your future and what you want for it will change. It will not be the same. Release the idea that you know exactly what your future would or should look like in terms of right now, or in terms of when you were younger, what you thought it would look like. That's the thing too. Some of you maybe from a younger age thought that a certain like you've always manifested something from childhood, and then it's like you're older and you're like, well, that'll still be nice, so I guess I'll still manifest it. If you're not actually passionate about it, you shouldn't try to manifest it, even if it's something you used to want. Release those things that don't serve us anymore, okay? But let's go into the guidebook. Remember, these bottom two oracle cards indicate the energy that can help you. So finances. This card signals a change in your financial situation. Please don't allow yourself to assume that this is a negative reversal. The only reason why you would feel afraid is because the ego associates change with fear. And we have the death card in reverse, fear of change. Yet that's the thing too. Some of you, maybe these manifestations aren't happening yet because Spirit is like, you would actually not only be not ready, but you'd be fearful if these things were to happen. You'd be like, and I think maybe imposter syndrome would take over. Like, oh, I don't deserve this. Something to consider. Yet this card heralds a reward for the diligent work you've done and are committed to continuing. Through the spiritual law of cause and effect, efforts always yield corresponding results. This also means that if you haven't been actively putting in effort, your financial returns will reflect this. Happily, though, you do have the power to change your finances for the better by taking the steps that you are divinely guided to. Keep your thoughts elevated, because positive thoughts really do create beneficial financial changes. That's a thing, too. Being positive and not in a state of anxiety or of desperation. that allows abundance to flow to you more easily. Additional meanings. Good timing to ask for a raise or promotion, starting a new business, reducing expenses. That's the thing too. I was going to bring that up, where a lot of you with the impulsivity, a lot of you spend too much. So Spirit's like, well, you're not even good with your money now, so we're not going to give you all this money. I guess I kind of insinuated that before, but be better with your spending habits and Spirit will allow more things to happen for you. Also with the Lovers in reverse, it makes me feel that, yeah, a lot of you over-romanticize your manifestations, so bring more logic into them and reality. So that's kind of what I've already been saying. Caution about whom you enter into a business agreement or sign a contract with. An investor, an inheritance, winning a settlement, a favorable outcome. Good to know, a favorable outcome. Graduation and settled debt. So if you release a bit more and you're not so stringent on things happening a certain way or like the timing and all that, things are a lot more likely to happen in your favor, is what Spirit is saying. Just trust. But also work hard, but in a way that's efficient, not that hinders your energy. Surrender to the sweetness. Venus energy, pleasure, joy, make love to life. This is a sensual, highly feminine card. It's a call to surrender to the sweetness of life, to let the ever-abundant feminine take over, to taste the fruits you've been working so hard to grow, to let your senses take over and really drink in your life and wonder, or drink in your life with wonder, to get intoxicated on the simple bounty that this planet has to offer and which you have within you when your well is full. Some of you, I wonder too, if you have something like more whole fruits and vegetables that could be helpful for you. Venus energy, I was visualizing grapes. I don't know if Venus, that's more so, makes me think of Athena. Who is Athena in Roman mythology? I don't remember. That's not Virgo, is it? Anyway, eating whole fruits and vegetables could help you too. When you enjoy like the sweetness of life in terms of like actual fruits, whole fruits, for some reason, I feel like for some of you that could be something that helps you. Or if you have an altar, providing whole fruits, or even cutting up the fruits, slicing them however you feel, that could be abundant for your altars. Any deity you have, or altar for a past loved one. Okay, or if you have an altar for like an actual manifestation. Anyway, the ancient Babylonians connected the feminine goddess Ishtar to the planet Venus. And in the Roman mythology, Venus was the goddess of love and beauty. In our night sky, aside from the moon, Venus shines the brightest. Time is our most precious resource, and it's the greatest healer. If you've been all work and no play, this is a sign to take some time out, to reconnect with your lover, play with your children, and give yourself the luxury of time without an agenda. That's exactly what I've been saying, time without an agenda. And I think, too, the more, like I've been saying, the more you release, but also the more you do engage in things that make you actually happy, that are separate from your manifestation, things will more easily flow to you. You're in that state of happiness and of receiving. Okay. Many of us are so busy building our lives that we forget to enjoy them. We forget why we decided to build them in the first place. Disconnection from the sweetness causes more pain than we realize. So many of us walk into soulless buildings 5 days a week in the name of survival. We strive to build a life of our dreams, but drive ourselves to exhaustion. This card is wooing you back to the pleasures of being human, to focusing on what really matters and enjoying your incredible life. Starseed Soul Inquiry. How can you surrender to the sweetness of life? What's one way you can enjoy your life a little more? And be more present as well, I will add. Being present will help you release release the the idea of being in a certain place and time. Be more present, be more grounded. Release the idea that you are already fully realized as a person. You have more to do to grow and heal yourself as time goes on, obviously. But yeah, I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, 3C, for... Oh, well, I don't want to just reiterate for a lot of you because a lot of you really need to hear this again. Good things are coming your way. I see a lot of happy things coming your way when you just step back a bit, release a bit. Just in general, releasing. Releasing things, and that doesn't mean you have to give up on all of your manifestations. Releasing some parts, maybe, but, at least, but releasing them to the universe in general. Working hard, but not working too much. Not focusing too much on them. Releasing, allowing them to happen. And then you can watch as your manifestation and any abundance flows to you and happens. Okay, I will leave it at that. Thank you so much, 3C, for watching and listening to this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, you can like the video down below. You can comment down below if you resonate with this stack, and you can update your comments sometime in the future if there are any updates you would like to provide for us all. You can subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. You can check out the other timeless pick a card reading videos located all throughout my channel. And you can check out my ASMR channel, Brittney's ASMR. They'll be linked in the video description down below. Thank you so much again, 3C, and take care.